Missing mother Brittany Ford and her 6-month-old baby Deklon Ford spent much of their last few weeks and days on the road, driving across the country. They started on the East Coast in Georgia and worked their way across the nation. Many of their days would have been dotted with rest areas, gas stations, and occasional highway construction. Brittany Ford liked to travel. She wasn't afraid of long road trips. She felt strongly that she was doing the right thing, protecting her family, her young son. But was she? Just 1 month before her mysterious disappearance, Brittany spent 72 hours in the psychiatric ward of an Ohio hospital. Her family reported erratic behavior that puts her mental health and the events leading up to her sudden departure into question. Brittany fled her home looking for help, on a mission to protect her little boy. But perhaps, in fact, she was putting them both in mortal danger. This is the story of the last road trip of Brittany and Deklon Ford. Brittany Ann Ford had been born on July 24, 1986, making her 28 years old in 2015. She was a loyal friend with a strong sense of justice. She liked Nicki Minaj, sub sandwiches, dressing up, and painting her nails in bright, eye-catching colors. After Brittany finished school, she got a job working at an Einstein Brothers bagel bakery. After dating for several years, she married Ricardo Ford. They settled in Conyers, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And things were good for the young couple. They enjoyed each other's company and liked to travel together. In March of 2014, Brittany announced that they were expecting a baby. "Yay, my turn," her excited Facebook post read. She was looking forward to being a mom, even if she was a little nervous about the actual birth part. But with Ricardo by her side, Brittany bravely did give birth on October 4th, 2014. Little Deklon joined the young and happy family. He was a loved baby, constantly smiling. He seemed happy. His parents seemed happy. But at some point, something changed. At 3:30 in the morning, very early one day in mid-April, Brittany called the police. She told them that Deklon's father was abusing him. Officers responded to their home and advised Brittany to take Deklon somewhere else to stay for the night. She agreed to go to a hotel and packed an overnight bag. But instead of driving to a hotel nearby, she drove all the way to Ohio, where she had grown up, and where her mother and siblings still lived. Brittany had been raised by her mother, Rebecca. She had an older brother, Brooke, and a younger sister named Morgan. It's a nearly 600-mile drive from her home in Georgia to her mother's home in Ohio, and Brittany contacted her mom while she was driving to let her know that she was on her way. During this phone conversation, Brittany said some concerning things, not just about her husband Ricardo or the abuse that she had told police that Ricardo had inflicted on Deklon. She said that she had to leave home because the government was after her. And then when she arrived, she quickly accused her stepfather of abusing her younger sister. Her family described Brittany's behavior as erratic, and it made them worried. Brittany's mother and her brother thought that perhaps she was suffering from some kind of mental break or illness. So they took her to see a health professional. And on April 16, 2015, Brittany was admitted to the psychiatric ward of a local hospital. They placed her under a 72-hour watch program. Ricardo drove up from Georgia to visit her, but she refused to see him. Was Brittany suffering from a mental break? It makes me wonder how much of her concerns about Ricardo were real. It doesn't appear that he was arrested or had any charges filed against him after her claims of abuse. Did police find evidence that he had been hurting Brittany or Deklon? After 3 days, Brittany was released from the hospital, and instead of heading to her mom's, she went to stay with her brother. Brittany's brother, Brooke, was also living in Ohio with a family of his own. Brittany and Deklon stayed with Brooke, Brooke's wife, and his young daughter, who was just a year older than her cousin Deklon. I'm inclined to believe that the 14 days spent at Brooke's home were uneventful and pleasant, because when Brooke woke up the morning of Monday, May 4th, and saw that Brittany and baby Deklon were gone, he wasn't at all alarmed. Big brother Brooke thought that maybe she left to pick up some food. Her purse and diaper bag were gone, but many of her things were still at his house. Surely Brittany would return, he thought. She hadn't taken any of her clothing with her. But Brittany did not return. She also wouldn't answer her phone or talk to anyone. Not until one unsettling phone call that Brooke received nearly 2 weeks later. When Brittany didn't come back to her older brother's home that Monday in May, he became concerned. She hadn't told anyone she was leaving, and she wasn't answering phone calls. Brittany had, however, logged into Facebook. Now, it's unclear to me exactly what she was doing or how she was using Facebook. I didn't find any public comments or posts from Brittany during this time. But something about her presence on Facebook, a tagged location, or a check-in, something led her family to believe that she had left Ohio and returned to Georgia. She had previously mentioned some paperwork that had been left there. Maybe she was reuniting with Ricardo or gathering this paperwork? If so, her family wondered why Brittany wouldn't just talk to them about it. They attempted to report her missing to the authorities in Georgia, but were told that a missing persons report could not be filed there. It seemed unlikely that police in Columbus, Ohio, would be able to find Brittany if she had returned to Georgia. But it is where she was last seen. So on May 7th, 3 days after she left, that is where Brittany is reported missing. Despite Brittany's stay in the mental health facility, authorities did not issue an Amber Alert for 6-month-old Deklon because he was considered safe in his mother's care. The podcast Where Are They covers this case, and the host brings up a very good point that Brittany may have been eligible for a Silver Alert, which is available in the state of Ohio. It's for a missing adult who is either over the age of 65 or mentally impaired. Could Brittany have qualified for this alert? Obviously, we don't have all of the information about Brittany's situation. For some reason, authorities do not believe that Brittany's disappearance posed a credible threat of immediate danger. And unfortunately, neither a Silver Alert or an Amber Alert are issued. Brittany's mom, Rebecca, uses social media to get the word out about her missing daughter and grandson. She created the Find Brittany and Deklon Facebook page to share images of the two and of Brittany's car. She puts the word out to look for them, traveling in a white 2007 Nissan Versa with Georgia license plates. Finally, after 12 days of silence, on Saturday, May 16th, Brittany called her brother. She called him from Des Moines, Iowa, and asked to borrow $10,000. It is a huge red flag that raises so many questions. Who was Brittany visiting in Iowa, and what was all of that money for? I couldn't find any interviews with Brooke. Did she tell him why she needed that money? Was she planning to start a new life? There is no public information about her demeanor during that phone call. We also know very little about Brittany's time after the psychiatric ward, but before her mysterious disappearance. She was at Brooke's house for 2 weeks from April 19th to May 4th. Had she been taking her medicine? Was she behaving paranoid, or was her mood improving? This call from Iowa is the last known contact anyone has had with Brittany for nearly 10 years. From here on out, Brittany is always just out of reach, a few steps ahead of law enforcement and the family that's looking for her. Eventually, they will learn that 2 days before her call to Brooke, on May 14th, a police officer in Indiana had helped Brittany to change a tire. The officer reported that everything seemed normal during their interaction. Unfortunately, the officer had not known that Brittany and Deklon were missing persons. The broad, national scale of their search makes it difficult and slow. The lack of communication between groups of law enforcement is frustrating. Finally, on May 20th, a nationwide bulletin for Brittany's car was issued. It's a huge step in the right direction for her family, but as it will turn out, her car had already been found 3 days before then. On May 17th, Brittany's car had been located abandoned on the side of Highway 87 between Billings, Montana, and Sheridan, Wyoming. Because it was found before the nationwide bulletin had been approved, when the officer came across her vehicle and ran Brittany's Georgia license plate number, nothing indicated that Brittany was a missing person. Her car was ticketed and left along the side of the road. All of Brittany's things, including her medication and Deklon's car seat, had been left inside the car, but it sat on the highway for days before being towed to an impound lot. Eventually, the connection is made between the car and the missing persons cases, but additional days are lost, and meanwhile, Deklon is out there somewhere. Brittany is out there somewhere without anything but the clothes on their backs. There is no word from authorities about the condition her car had been found in. Was there still gasoline in the tank? Had it been carefully parked or pulled over haphazardly? The circumstances of their disappearance are incredibly unclear. There is very little made public about Brittany and Deklon's case, and very little shared with her family. Some theorize that she left her vehicle on foot or arranged to be picked up. No formal searches of the area were announced, and there is no word from authorities if they looked into her cell phone pings or call logs. There are no press conferences or media blitzes. Very little is said at all. As the years pass, Brittany's mom continues to use the Find Brittany and Deklon Facebook page to spread awareness of her missing daughter and grandson. Brittany's family uses the Facebook page to reach out to Brittany with the hope that she's somewhere out there alive and well, reading their messages. They tell her about family reunions. They ask her to call home. Sometimes they apologize about things from the past. Sometimes they update her with the present, like letting her know that Grandma had passed away. They also update their friends and followers about the case. A post in 2023 read in part, "The Columbus police are still looking for Brittany and Deklon. There are no leads to Georgia or anywhere. Every lead has gone nowhere." Micardo has since remarried. Financially drained, he had started a GoFundMe in 2018 to raise funds to search for his wife and son, but made only $375. The page is no longer open for donations, but still exists online, where Micardo's thoughts and words live on. He wrote, "There is not a day that goes by that I don't wonder what happened to my son and where he is now. I wonder what he's doing, what toys he likes. What's his favorite cartoon? I miss waking up to him cooing in his crib. I miss seeing how he interpreted the world around him." Micardo goes on to say, "Does he know how much he's loved? There is nothing I want more in this world than to see Deklon's face again, to hear his cheerful laughter, and to see him grow up into a man and have children of his own. All of the things that every parent wants to experience with their children." Brittany and Deklon's case is hazy and complicated from the very start. There appears to be mixed opinions between Brittany's friends and family members regarding what really happened before her departure and where she may be today. Some seem to believe that Deklon really did suffer abuse at the hands of Micardo, and that Brittany is quietly living off-grid, safe from her ex-husband. But for others, evidence of Brittany's mental break make assessing the validity of her accusations difficult. Was she running from Micardo or from the government? Why abandon the car? There are too many questions and not enough answers to form a theory that makes any sense. Brittany and Deklon's pictures have occasionally appeared on flyers and newspapers dedicated to finding the missing. Several age-progressed images have been created in Deklon's likeness. He would be 9 years old today. At the time of her disappearance, Brittany Ford had dark brown hair and was 5 foot 4 inches tall. She has a distinctive Zion tattoo on the back of her neck. Anyone with information regarding the mysterious disappearance of Brittany or Deklon Ford should contact the Columbus Police Department.